And I will start giving you just a context because the entire subject is pretty long. It says that in intelligent infrastructure, how developers are adopting to support the growth of smart cities with technology. I just want to understand from all of you that in June 2015, our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, announced 100 smart cities in India. By any chance, anybody knows how much outlay we had talked about that time? Okay, because the number is very staggering, and many people will think, oh, I lost the opportunity, okay? The number is 209,000 crores, which was supposed to be spent in the next 10 years. So these 10 years are finished now. And when I looked at it, I said last year how much was spent. And last year number was almost 9,000 crores. That means that kind of money has been spent. So next point came that what is smart city means. Because like today we had done some discussion, what is building automation? What is home automation? And if you see, the first smart city was made in 1995, which was known as Amsterdam. And then Barcelona really took them away, okay? And when I looked at it, I went through all the documents, because this is the only time when you actually go through documents to find out what I'm talking is right or wrong. And I got one fantastic definition, which happened to be in a government document. And the document says, we need to create places that are desirable for everyone and ensure economic success while also preserving our planet and make it sustainable. Very good. So I think if we look at it, all of us are saying same things. We are saying that we want to make this city more livable. I want to make this city better as well as sustainable for my future generations. And I think after 10 years, we are sitting here and discussing about what we need to do. I think it's a great opportunity. And I must thank all of you who have thought about this entire event, because it gives us the next 10 years to think about what we need to do. So I think one of the most important thing, let's look at what is India. India urban population is expected to grow from 41 crores today, which is in urban areas, to 81 crores in the next 25 years. We can just imagine how many number we will add in the new big cities. So currently in India, we talk about 6 big cities. In the next 5 years, we will add 4 big cities, which is bigger than Beijing, which is bigger than Shanghai. And I think very important when we look at all this, what we need to do in the cities. We need to make them more livable. We need to make use of renewables more and more. We need to make them resilient, because we just saw what happened on 25th July in Bombay. We need to ensure that doesn't happen. We need to make them digital. I think Kapsi sir is here, okay? And we need to make it scalable. And I'm very fortunate that we have now the entire podium. We have 200 to 250 years of experience in real estate development, architect, and as well as consultant. And there are some green energy expert as well. So I will not take more time. And I'm going to ask questions. And we can start this way first, and then we can come back that way, so that nobody can feel I have been left out, okay? So my first question is, how do you see the transition from 2014 till today in adopting technology in our projects, your projects, and your field? Okay.
Morning, everyone. Uh, I'll tell you a little bit background about the experience, relative experience in this field. So I've been working on this project with the BEE and other initiative with the Prime Minister's office as well, with GIS, with KFW on adaptation of smart homes into mass housing. So this has happened right from 2016-17 onwards, what was relevant to what you were speaking about. And the idea there was, when you talk about smart homes, was not of pushing a lot of technology into the mass housing, because as you know, we are not the richest economy. Okay, we are the fifth largest economy. There's a lot of difference between what we celebrate about. So we're not the richest economy. We are the fifth largest economy because of 1.4 billion people and huge working class and all. So having a smart home into all mass housing is not our this at all priority at all. Our priority is looking at from the other aspect of infrastructure development, how to meet the energy demand. We are growing. We are getting richer. Our spending capacity is increasing. It has increased the last 10 years. And post-COVID, it has enormously grown. Now, it has not happened because of COVID, as people say. This was thought right from 2015, 16 and all. We were growing. Okay, and COVID was a stop for around a year or 1.5 years or so, but then it suddenly jumped up because the momentum was already created in 2014, 15 and all. So when we saw that, earlier 2014, it was expected that expenditure, our living standards would increase. What we saw in Germany, US 30 years back, we are seeing it today. Okay, so there if you see the cooling, why I'm saying cooling is because, 45% of the energy demand comes from built environment. Of that, 65% is cooling load in India. Okay, so if you see, this is further growing. If you see the projection of a 27, 30, it's up. If you see the projection for 2035, 2040, exponentially it is increasing. So how do you control that? Energy is limited. All our resources are limited. It cannot be flowing just like that. So we need to understand, how do we take care of that? And that was the reason we started on the first project was the roof cooling. So that is where most of the cooling in the building we envisaged can happen without using energy. That was in 2014-15 with KFW. Second, then in 2017, I also worked with Deloitte, as their technical consultant. So there the idea was to how to push smart homes, smartness into each and everyone's homes. The idea is not that, you talk to a mobile phone and say, put on my TV. No, that was not the idea. Idea was not luxury. Idea was little bit of comfort. Idea was to grasp the energy demand. That means that how much energy demand a house would need later, and what is that energy demand a grid can supply. Okay, so that was what we worked on, and then we saw a lot of issues like standardization. So we went into the market. We saw that there was no standardization. You would understand that, standardization. So how to get between GM, Control 4, all the smart home operators, how to get a standard protocol, how to get a safety protocol. We called in BIS as well. So said, you need to get in. You need to see how the regulators are, how the power, components in this, and get a standard thing. It cannot be that someone buys a unit for 50 rupees, someone buys for 5,000. How do we take care of the safety of that place? So with this introduction, I'll pass it on to my next speaker in the next question.
So Harun. So I'll ask the question again because you may have forgotten by the time he said. So how do you see the transition in your field? Because you were abroad as well as you are here, okay? From 2014 till today in adopting technology in your field.
Thanks for touching this
Sir, आपको जरा नजदीक रखो.
very critical topic. And since morning we are discussing about this. So directly coming to this, since 2014 to almost 10 years happened. And 2014 was the year when I came back to India. Earlier, I was abroad only in Dubai and Oman. So from 2014 and in this 10 years were very fast moving. Like this online shopping and Amazon, this quickly become very familiar with everybody. So then in the construction industry from the developer side, we had seen a revolution in the technologies and adoption. And earlier, the home automation and the smart, this only USPs for the sales. Because everybody is making the house and flats, properties. But what is the big difference to create that? That was only the just like fancy things. But now it is a reality. And when directly coming to the smart cities topic, not to the individual building. There we are having the volume. There we can, we can feel the results if we implement something. And now it is unavoidable to adopt the technologies and monitoring, because if you want to have the cities, because as a developer we have the capex, we have opex both, and we are selling the apartments, so people are more concerned about the what is the maintenance charge is coming.
Correct.
It is not only the one-time investment. One-time investment is okay, but everybody is interested how it is. And apart from that, from in this last 10 years, people are very much interested, and they want to contribute to the nation, and they want to contribute to the climate as well. Just if we are having the green energy in construction, at Rustamji we had adopted to have the green energy. We are purchasing green energy. We are paying little bit more, but customers are very keen to know that. Directly they are not benefiting from them, but the questions are for regarding sustainability also is there. So in 10 years, the adoption of the technology and transition is there. Now we are having more in the design stage also. Earlier the waste management is nothing. एक room बना के देने का है, you have to allocate a space, then waste management happens. But now we are having the special consultants for that, how to optimize it, how to use it. Then we have the list of the recyclers, and to get the certification. And in India, one thing is very good. I had worked along abroad also, but India, one thing is very positive. People are very adaptable. Whenever something new comes, to it, adoption is very fast, and to the down the line also. So from the developer fraternity, I would like to request the OEMs, because as a developer, what the gap we are seeing in the industry is there are OEMs, there are consultants, developers, and the end users, and the facility management. OEMs are working in a very controlled environment. They are having the research and development centers. They are having all the facilities. Then comes to the consultant. Then consultants are using those technologies available, and they are designing into that. And then there are the installers, contractors who will install that. Then developer who will sell that, and the end customer, and the. So this gap needs to be fulfilled. There is a gap in all those areas. We have all the technology, but it is not getting cascading.
Yeah. So I think we will take that question afterwards, because that's a very pertinent question with regard to how to fill this gap. And I would like to move on to Mr. Mistry.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Hello. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Now, as the question says, last 10 years,
Mr.
Yeah.
That's it.
as the question says, last 10 years, how the technology has changed in smart city. I would put it in a way that in last 10 years, the smart city concept from micro to macro, I am particularly is from micro industry, specialized into the interiors of the residences and the commercial spaces to the level from the premium to high end, where the technology penetrates at very early level, keeping in mind the mid and the economical level. So using this technology lasts quite some time, but after COVID, it's like thanks to COVID, now in a different way, thanks to COVID, it's like after COVID, people have started realizing the need of an hour, what exactly the technology requires and what exactly the needs, which they were earlier, used to say that that was not needed. Now it is like after COVID, it's like needed. People started living in house and doing the practices of the residences, offices, everything. So then the technology has to be that powerful that being the part of the system and still you are safe. So keeping the technology also in mind as a design, apart from technology like using the natural technology like I will say biophilic principles, using the green energy, natural energy, the wind pressure, the sunlight, the green walls, maybe the waterfalls and water bodies, that also adds up and control the system, where wherever you need the energy, you use it. Wherever you don't need the energy, don't use it. It's like that way. So in 10 years, the system has entirely changed. What the thing was there before 10 years and after COVID, it has a drastic change what we can see. Thank you.
Joseph, sir. Thank you.
Hello? Yeah. So, in my perspective, what has happened in the last 10 years, probably, there are a lot of awareness that has come into this community. In the past, the smart infrastructure or automation used to be just on your presentations and then on your meeting rooms, etc. It never used to get implemented. But that because of that awareness that has been created over a longer period of time, now we have, apart from the awareness, we have an ecosystem to work on it. Let it be a smart building or smart automation or whatever you call it as. There used to be rather very few who are able to do a smart automation in last 10 years back or something. So today we can see hundreds of integrators or system aggregators who are available. So this is one, 2-3 part that has come into. Now another thing, from a real estate developer's mindset point of view, I see a big change because since I'm from that industry, 10 years back, I used to convince my management about the technology, the benefit, and then the cost. Today, I don't have to really convince the first two part. Even today, I have to convince them about the cost part. So, but at the same time, when we do a project, since we have that system around it, we are able to predict at least the return of investment, and then we are able to really clearly show this into the system. Now, to be honest, if you're asking me a smart city perspective, I don't think we are successful in India anywhere, but we can see some individual pockets. Some of them could be a building, some of them could be a township, where a feel of that smartness and then smartness has been created. So from Hirandani's perspective, we are focusing on specific pockets or specific buildings where we try to make those buildings smarter one. When we are talking about smarter, the definition is, I don't think a quick definition is possible. But in our perspective, what we see is that the each and every component of this building, if I'm able to communicate it, if I'm able to gather information and get a visibility of the health of this equipment, the cost of running it, and giving back an operationally efficient environment to the developer, and then a good working quality environment to the tenants or residents. And then finally, from a builder's perspective, I'm able to increase the bottom line, the profitability, and then also very important thing, if I'm able to contribute something back to the society in terms of sustainability point of view or whatever sort of thing. That's my definition of smartness as on today when we are speaking. But we may change tomorrow, but this is what my perception of smartness. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you can keep the mic with you because you have picked up the right chord, and I think I'm going to give you the same link ahead. Is because we are talking about Building Automation Summit. So what you would like the product developers, OEMs, building automation, system integrators to do the gap which you and him are talking, I'm sorry, because I have come from a building automation community for last so many years. So the moment anybody used to ask me an elevator pitch, and I used to say, I make energy efficiency, I make place livable, I ensure that it gives a value to my developer, okay? But clearly I can see that there is a huge gap. Yeah. So what building automation community should do, and I'm 100% sure cost is the first thing, but let's look at it from your perspective and then we will go ahead.
See, if you really see, there is a tier 1 technology players. At least in India's perspective, many of them are not reachable to the common developers or people sort of thing. And those key players have good technology, but not able to penetrate to the mass market because of the cost involved. Two, finally it is cost. I mean, finally the expertise comes at a cost. So, and also, they are very close to their technology, and then, I mean, they all work in a very closed circuit, closed environment. There is another level of technology solution providers and then integrators available in the next level who are able to do, but at the same time, the access is very limited. Now here the big part, when simple thing like when we start automating a particular building, if you have some 15, 20 system which probably has the potential to integrate, A will not talk to B will not talk to C will not talk to D. Then they will talk about some protocol or some common protocol which allow us to do the particular communication. That protocol also, again, there is a proprietary part plugged in. So it is becoming harder and harder for the entry-level players to get into that particular field, the technical area, and then the growth of that particular technology is not the way it was supposed to be in terms of the pace. So this is one of the main thing. I mean, big players don't want to expose too much. They have their own reasons. But at the same time, the lower level players they have the capability, but they don't have the access to the technology and don't have an easy way to communicate into that. And all systems finally work in silos. So this is one of the main thing. Now to break in that silos, the investment definitely, as you said, is huge. And then this becomes an obstacle for the smartness or the automation to spread. Otherwise, in this 10 years, things would have been very different than what we are seeing today. It is not that we have not reached anywhere, but the growth is comparatively slower than expected because of these so many reasons. And the opportunity in India is specifically are plenty. And I'm sure the situation will soon change. Now I can see so many companies doing an automation scenario here, which was not the case 5 years back. So there is a big change, and on the standardization side, as I mentioned some time back, INBAC sort of association is working closely with most of these industry experts to come into a common forum. Like as I mentioned to you, the tier 1 players like Google and people like that now, something called Matter is one protocol which they've adopted for interoperability between different technology. So these sort of development are coming, and definitely the next, not 10 years, 5 years, you will see big changes happening.
Thank you. For you, Mr. Mistry.
Can you just repeat the question again? The question.
Yeah. The question is, he talked about the technology, he talked about adoption happening, but he also raised the concern that adoption is not that faster, okay? And as far as the building automation community is concerned, because most of them are product OEMs here, which you see. So what message you as an architect would like to give it to them to ensure that this gap gets bridged as fast as possible?
Yeah. Now, as he said rightly, that the growth is happening in last 10 years, but it's not happening at the pace that was needed. But definitely, what we were before 10 years and what we are after 10 years is something fantastic. Thanks to Mr. Modi also for this thing, that the initiative that has been taken that time, which we are seeing the result in 10 years, and definitely in next 10 years, the result will be more faster because the infrastructure, what has been laid, the results are now going to come. I'll put it that way. And it's not only the responsibility of any public body only, it's an individual responsibility also, keeping in mind the developers or maybe the community. They will have to come hand in hand and do the thing which will bridge the gap which is missing. Like one building is doing certain thing and that considered as the standard. But there needs to be some standard format like an ISI standard. There has to be some standard has to be drawn that everybody has to follow this, and this is required. This is the minimum that thing is required. It cannot go less than that. So I feel that this has to be done at the earliest level. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just I will directly come to the point. I will give some 2-3 examples what we discussed till now. So I talked about there are the gaps. In automation industry, you separated out HVAC industry because HVAC is since beginning they have the controls, automations, and the awareness is more. They are working in a controlled environment and no. So there is much had done in the HVAC industry. When we are talking about the automation, it is not only HVAC now. So many things are developed and so many items are required to be automated, required to be monitored, required to be controlled also. So we have to develop for the other services like HVAC. In that, as I said earlier, we have MEP consultants, we have OEMs, we have the end users. For example, like STP, there was a requirement, authority requirement, you should have the inline monitoring of the STP. It was very good initiative. But due to the lack of the awareness or lack of the infrastructure, ministry has taken back that circular. Because they don't have the infra to monitor that, and developers also were not having the infra to install that, and it was all waste. So they had taken back that circular. So what are the requirements of the different services? The understanding of that is required, and the like INBAC has already initiated that, and other MEP consultant I request, they should draw out the minimum requirement of the monitoring. Because when we talk about the automation, it should not be a fancy thing. That it should be a big dashboard, so many data is there. But what is required? If we monitor the STP properly, maybe we may save some life. The safety aspect, quality aspect, and moreover, the automation plays a major role when the developer completes his project and it is gone to the society or the facility management. So at that time, if monitoring is there for the electrical equipment, pumps, what are their health, so then the sustainability, green energy, everything comes from there only. The proper maintenance and this can happen only when all collaborate together closely, and they should, like HVAC industry, the knowledge, the automation fraternity knows much more about the HVAC industry. So I request you to please know more about the STP, know more about the water supply, know more about the OWC and other services. So I think it is happening, but it will take, I think, some more time and more concentrated and focused efforts. And the minimum requirement, like consultant can prescribe in the tender, this is the minimum monitoring, this is the minimum automation we require. We should convey the message to the masses that automation is not like Alexa or Siri, on my light or off my light. It is the back end which is not seen by anyone. And I was telling this adaptability is very fast. Just one example I will give you. 2-3 days back, there was a power outage. Our house help was telling, हमारा building आपके building से. Why? मेरी wife ने पूछा क्यों अच्छा है? हमारे यहाँ she was using PV solar और उसमें बैटरी भी है, तो एक घंटा बत्ती चलता है उससे. हमने को 1 घंटे ब्रेक नहीं हो. How they contributed themselves, and they had installed 2-3 solar. So that the vision of the government of India and the totality में जो sustainability का बात चल रहा है, so that is now being seen on the ground.
Yes, sir. So I'll quickly, try to, link between, see, basically I am an independent consultant. I design technology, IT and all. But because of my interest in, how things goes, how the masses respond to automation and all, that's why I've been linked to a lot of such initiatives on smart homes into mass housing and all. And interestingly, I'll share something. What we have understood is that though we do a lot of surveys in the market, and then through the surveys we come out, okay, people are interested in smart homes, people are interested in sustainability, people are interested in green everything. People are interested when we talk to them. But when we say that there is a cost involved, they say, okay, we are okay with that 10% or 5%
Space
extra
test.
cost. But when it goes to actual buying, the builder says all this is all, crap. Whatever surveys have been happened and all. So basically we understand that, uh, we promote smart home from a different perspective, that we will get a lot of data from the user. That user data will help us actually in the diversity understanding of how your demand of energy will be, when washing machines will be run, when your ACs will be run at homes. And there is really a diversity factor in this. Okay, so that is your offices require a demand at a different time and a residential require a different time. We talk of district cooling. District cooling also helps in a lot of heat island effect reduction as such, district cooling. So these initiatives are coming. District cooling is something that you have a common chiller plant somewhere, and that chiller plant takes care of cooling for the entire residential community, your commercial, multiplex, etc. and so on. This concept started in, I remember, in 1800 somewhere, but actual it got implemented in 1960s in US, then Paris, now at Gift City in Gujarat. Qatar was one of the biggest example, I think 1.3 lakh ton. I'm not a HVAC consultant, 1.3 lakh tons. Gift City is 2.7 lakh tons. That's happening at the moment. So this actually helps us in long-term, heat island effect, reducing the energy consumption for ACs, etc., and so on. The idea of telling you is that, as you said, smart home for us is not putting technology, but unless and until we tell an occupant that, smart home does a lot of improves your lifestyle quotient. People don't buy that, correct? So we are improving that lifestyle quotient by telling them, okay, this is how you need to, use your, the lady who spoke about, customer who spoke about PV, basically it is a lifestyle quotient. She spoke in a lifestyle quotient way, how to improve your lifestyle, okay? And that is how we saw that, humans actually accept technology in those ways. For us, it is more of that, once home automation comes into picture, we'll get a lot of feedback from there. We are working on a cloud-based platform which is integrated, interoperable amongst a lot of players and all. Okay, and that is going to get hooked up to the smart grid. So that is how the entire thing sums up for smart home. Thanks with that.
Thank you, Milind, and thank you each one of them. There's a message in the monitor that my time is up, and I think I talk too much. So it's a time for some questions from the audience. So we can circulate the mic, yeah? If anyone has any question. I see so many automation guys here not asking question. Yeah, okay.
I'm R.L. Birla, energy consultant. I just wanted to know as to what are the areas which they are getting implemented from this exhibition in the upcoming projects or likely to be implemented, because we find a lot of gap in what we are seeing over here, and what is the construction technology or what is the actual construction available as a user. So how do you fill that gap? Yeah. How does this seminar or how does this exhibition help us to get better output from the builders in particular?
Okay, I think I will first answer and then I will give it to the developers, okay? If you can sit down, no problem. If I understand the question right, you are saying that a lot of initiatives are being talked about, and then how you see those getting implemented in the building automation community and how they will get deployed. So I will address the first one and then we can talk about it. The first and foremost is, I liked the word which Mr. Joseph talked about. He said, I communicate, I speak, nobody listens. And I think, and that's what he wants to do, that he wants to ensure that there is a common protocol or language which people will use. And as INBAC, we are completely committed to do that, to ensure that each of the subsystems will talk to the main system in the same language and ensure that there is no loss of communication. Second point is everybody says that my building is smart. What does that mean? So there should be some smart index, and we are working on that. And that is what, as a organization, we are working on. And third point, which I must tell you, that both of these developers have done in their project, they have given the entire dashboard of energy, water, all the resources in their building. I think Joseph sir will be able to talk more about it. Joseph sir, for you.
Yeah. So the amount of automation, the quantum of automation, whatever you can think of as on today, is much lesser than what we were anticipating. But at the same time, we have achieved automation to a great extent, especially for the commercial premises we own. We connect today each and every smart or dumb devices within that particular building, which is connected to starting from your simple pump for your water system, to your fire alarm systems, to your security system, CCTV, whatever you can think of in a particular building, we are able to achieve that, connecting with the help of with the bypassing, not bypassing, I would say, somehow we achieved the interoperability part of that, and then we are into a common platform right now where I can see, monitor, decide, predict from the dashboard in terms of the health of the equipment which is in that particular building, the predictive maintenance part of it, what is the cost of running it in terms of maintenance, in terms of electricity, how I can improve the efficiency of the building, how I can reduce the cost of running. So today, in the past, if the building was not smart, I'll put it in that way, if that building was not smart, if I ask the facility manager today what is the cost of running this particular building, he will gather some information from his known sources, and then finally he come up with a figure which from the management side we are supposed to believe and then work on that. Today, at this point of time, a building, what is the running cost, what is my operational cost, everything I am able to see in real time. And then from a facility manager, we are making the life simpler for everyone. When we automate these sort of different components, there are some areas in the building where people don't even go unless the equipment fail. Now the STP, I don't think anyone go inside an STP unless there is a breakdown there. So the technology today helped me in terms of, first of all, whether the STP is running, the health of that water coming in and coming out, the quality, not health, the quality of water coming in, coming out, before the foul-smelling water goes inside the premise to your flushing system or anything, we are able to monitor and then control it. So these sort of deep level of automation we are able to do. As I mentioned to you, there are difficulties still. We have not achieved the highest level of automation what you see around the world. But it is doable, and then we have been doing for the last 2-3 years in a big way. I hope that answer your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
we
much.
are running out the next session, people are here. So I think I would like to thank each one of you and really appreciate for, I think, all your inputs. And I must tell you that I had prepared questions for my own understanding. I had circulated, but none of the questions were written here which I asked. Okay? So that shows that entirely how interactive we all were. And thank you very much. I really appreciate, and I could really see that these kind of events are helping to bridge that gap between the different communities and ensure that what you see, we will listen and we will act. Thank you. Yeah, we have one point. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Siddhanand, for leading the session.
Hello.
Yes, sure.
There is a small thought and a suggestion. Since the developing community is also here, I'm from the micro industry and they are from the macro industry so far. What problem that we are facing, Okay, and what the way I communicate and try to convince my clients. This is just a small suggestion, and I'm quite successful in that. So I would like to share the idea. I'll take 5 minutes if that is okay with you. Okay. Now, this is just an example that I give it to my client, and I make them convinced to adapt the technology, which maybe earlier stage is expensive and the costly. Because technology, when you introduce, is always expensive. At the later part, when the things get used to with everybody, it gets cheaper. But when I convince client in a way that this will help you, maybe a green technology, maybe power saving technology, or the natural lights or natural things adapted inside a solar technology, earlier cost is always higher. So one example that I give it to the client, that you are spending money on medical insurance every year. Okay, assuming that a family of 4, you are spending ₹1,00,000 premium every year. You spend 80,000 because that ₹1,00,000 goes down the drain if you are not using it and you don't want to use that. Actually, you pray God that you don't want to use that. Okay, so instead of that, you save that 20,000 a year. You spend 80,000 on the premium, and 20,000 you use it for the technology which will save your life and increase your life in a better way. In terms of, every apartment, every owner of the apartment spend 20,000 in a year. If the society is of 700 or 1,000 apartment, that will help the developer to introduce the better technology. And better technology always, enhance the life, the scale, and the lifestyle. Rather spending on the mediclaim and securing yourself with the fear, you spend where you can enjoy the life with the happiness and extend your life. So client understand this, and they try accepting most of the suggestions that I give. So since we are here and I got the opportunity, if at the developing stage, when you promote the project, when you sell the project, sell the apartment, you come out with some ideas and some presentation where, the client, you don't need to sell them that this is the idea that I want to sell. They will come and say, okay, we are happy with this idea, nobody has done this, and we would like to pay 10,000 more. Because people want to spend. Now, after COVID, they don't want to save completely. Earlier, we used to save. India is a conservative industry. So now, what I am observing in the interior industry also, they want to live in today, not tomorrow or for grandchildren. So I suggest that let us do it in a way that the medical expense will get reduced, and happiness will come. Not only the government, even at the personal level, development level, maybe the project level, at the interior design level, everybody can help it. It's not the one person can do it. It's the entire society, community has to do it that way. So this is my suggestion, if that helps.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Mr.
Thank
Mistry.
you.
I'd just like to...